Welcome to Barbie's Bitch House.
Last time we couldn't find our car and we were looking for it for 30 minutes. But that was this time.
That was this time.
Last time, I don't remember what happened last time.
And to be fair, guys, I'm not like really stupid. It's just that I did not park the car.
Yeah, her chauffeur did. The person that drives her around parked it because we're rich because of how many copies this book has sold. It's only sold one, but we're rich now, so.
I forgot what happened, to be honest, but let's get back into it.
What the fuck? Okay, so I know Kelsey and Jonathan, we kind of dove into their backstory a little bit because they're dating. And then...
Did I change who I thought it was? Because I don't remember.
I think you probably... I don't know.
It was the one guy that came back to camp. I think it's David.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Colt and David. Yeah, David is a suspicious character, and Colt is suspecting him. And we'll just see what happens. We're almost done with this, but...
Am I on chapter 31, the witness?
Yes.
Okay. On his way back to the shore the night before, the killer ran into a bit of a problem. Winnie had followed him into the woods without him knowing. She had eavesdropped on him, but she knew everything. But the killer caught her spying before she could run and tell everyone her discovery. He had to silence her. He wrapped his hands around her throat and squeezed. He felt the life slowly drain from her eyes, and it exhilarated him. Once she was dead, he dropped her body against a tree and quickly ran back to the shore. He had to keep Winnie quiet.
Yeah, so Winnie died, and now it's explaining why she died.
And soon, he will kill everyone else as well. He didn't have much time. So it says, chapter 32, accusation.
Damn, that was a short chapter.
It was very short. That's why I was like, Shayna and David ran back to the shore quickly. Winnie is dead. Someone strangled her and she's dead.
Me when I'm dead and I'm strangled and I'm dead.
I love it when it does that. She's dead. She was strangled and she's dead. I'm like, why are we reiterating this?
Nobody talks like that either.
One of us killed her. Shayna screamed as tears ran down her face.
One of us is a killer. I'll just reiterate.
Someone on this island is a fucking filthy murderer.
We have reiterated this for 15 times.
A fucking filthy murderer.
A fucking filthy pig fucking murderer. Fucking pig.
She screamed. Shannon quickly ran up to comfort Shayna. I thought she was disabled at this point.
Why is she? No, because I thought that was like a life-altering injury, and then she's just like walking around the beach.
Were her legs like severely burned, and she laid down for days?
Yes, and now she's just popping her pussy all over the island.
Yes, and now she's just island strutting to her sister, like she's
doing the Macarena.
Yeah. Colt looked at David. Could David have killed Winnie? Colt asked himself. He quickly dismissed that theory and called it ridiculous. For Jason, he definitely would have had a motive to kill him, but Winnie, he had absolutely none. Shayna looked down at the ground. Why would he have a motive to kill Jason?
Okay, so we had done the backstory. I feel like, I don't remember the backstory, but I remember there was something. I think David had beef with Jason.
Maybe.
And I think he fucked up like Jason's car or something and was just very aggressive towards Jason.
I thought that was David, though.
It is David. David did that to Jason.
Oh, okay. Okay, anyway.
Something like that.
I like how we just I don't fucking remember.
I don't remember. Something like that.
Okay. Shayna looked down at the ground, but then something caught her eye. She looked at David's hands. They were beet red. David looked at Shayna, realizing what she was thinking. You don't think I killed her, do you? David asked Shayna. Colt stood up and said, I do.
What?
Not him just raising his hand, sitting up.
I do.
Smash. And,
Smash. I have him as a teacher. I had him yesterday.
When he was, like, first.
No, because the other day he was talking about, like, he was making an analogy of, like, salting food and statistics. And so he went, like, and I was like, you better not be doing that in front of me. Because my filthy little girl mind is not gonna take that too well. I was like, ugh. I was like, oh, that's nice. Damn, he's already all the way over there. He, like, teleported.
Well, he's fucking slender, man. What the fuck are you talking about? He's, like, 7 feet fucking tall.
Like,
He really is fucking tall, though. Anyway, wait, hold on. I do. David turned around and stared at Colt. What the hell, man? He exclaimed. I think he not only killed Winnie, but Jason as well, Colt said. He had a motive for killing Jason. Jason lied to Kelsey about David cheating on her. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
He said. Kelsey's head snapped up, and so did Jonathan's.
Also, everyone is just turning around like, what'd you say?
Their head snapped. Like they just fucking break their neck trying to turn around. That hurt my nose. I was sick, so there's like pressure in my face, and I did that, and it didn't feel good.
Ow.
As for Winnie, I'm not sure for the motive, but his hands are beet red. That's all the evidence we need. Colt said, wait a minute, let me explain. David said.
I can explain.
It was talking about, David said that, but then it said Colt said, but then it said David said. Anyway.
What the fuck?
This morning, I also saw David return to the shore from the woods. When I asked what he was doing, he grew very defensive. Almost as if he was hiding something, Colt said.
It was like a Nancy Drew mystery novel.
I know. If it is him, then I mean, that's kind of funny because I thought it was Jonathan.
Yeah, I feel like it's too obvious to be him, though. Like,
that's what I'm thinking. They're really pointing it at him, so maybe it's not him.
I hope we're saying there when I'm the one who's pointing it at him and trying to make you think certain things.
No, imagine he went to go take a piss, and people are like, you're a fucking murderer!
And then when he goes pee, he's like, piss, hold. Piss, hold. Piss a little hold. Piss, hold. He's like, hey.
There's a scene in the movie called Waiting, if anyone's never seen it, and there's a guy that's like, he's really shy to go to the bathroom because he had like a guy like in interaction once, or a guy like tried to touch him or something, and so he gets really nervous and he can't go to the bathroom, like he hasn't been able to really do it, and so he goes in there and like other people walk in and he stops and they're like like he gets really shy and he just can't. Okay,
I haven't seen it in years. I need to rewatch it.
I love that movie. He grew very defensive, almost as if he was hiding something, Colt said. I had to take care of something, David said, looking down.
It sounds like he masturbated in the woods.
I know. I know, that's kind of what it sounds like. Take care of what, Winnie? Jonathan yelled. Oh, fuck off, all of you. You just want to point the blame on somebody. How about you point the blame at yourselves? I was gone this morning because I had to use the bathroom. Not necessarily something I want to get into with my best friend, David said. My hands were red because while I was out walking, I tripped over a branch and fell hard onto the ground.
It says that. Oh, I don't want to get into that with my best friend. Meanwhile, me and you, we're the most TMI people. Like, I'll be on the phone shitting. You'll be on the phone dropping quarters down the piss well. And it's open book.
I don't think you've ever called me when you're shitting, but maybe you have.
Oh, no, I have.
I just didn't know it, right?
You just didn't know it. I was very subtle and petite while I was taking a fat monster log of a shit. And I was very petite about it. So you never noticed.
I'm just imagining it going, boom. And I'm like, what was that? And you're like,
Nothing.
I don't know.
I got into a car accident. That's what it was.
I got into a car.
Gotta go wipe my ass. I mean, go call the insurance people. Bye.
I was in an accident. It's just the water.
Damn, did the Red Sea part, or however the Bible thing is, did the sea part? No, I took a shit, Maddie.
That's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, all I could think of was he jacking it over there. It's a bunch of bullshit and you know it. Sorry. Jonathan exclaimed. Before anyone could react, David flung himself at Jonathan and punched him in the face. I'm imagining him flying. Like he's just...
like he's a vampire in Twilight. Like
yeah, like that kind of jump where they're like... yeah. Sorry. Jonathan's face lit up with rage and he punched David in the gut. David fell backwards. I said David. Anyway.
David? I bet that's his nickname.
Fell backwards, coughing and sputtering. Before Jonathan could hurt David even more, Kelsey held him back. David glared at Colton and said, "This is all your fault."
I was trying to write straight men.
This is all your fault. They're just fighting immediately. Before Colt could respond, David bolted into the woods. Do you think he'll be dead next? Anyway.
I feel like he is going to die next.
Jonathan, Huxley, and Chase ran after him, trying to stop him, but they lost him and gave up very quickly. I'm not wasting my energy on that asshole, Chase said. Colt felt guilt begin to eat away at him. If what David said was true, he had just... If what David said was true, he had just made David look guilty to everyone when he was actually innocent. Colt couldn't shake the feeling that David was the killer, though. It just made sense in his mind, but he couldn't tell if it made sense because he wanted it to or because it actually did.
I think that girl works in the business office. I think I saw her the other day.
Yeah.
Her car was loud as hell. I almost queefed.
Chapter 33 is called Hatchet.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Yeah, this whole thing, just chapter 1 and 2, you know. David ran until his legs gave out from under him. He fell into the dirt.
He busted his ass.
Getting clumps of dirt in his mouth. He coughed, spitting out the dirt, and that caked in his mouth. God damn it.
Bleh, bleh. I'm just imagining he's like a fucking...
The dirt. He falls in the dirt. Dirt in his mouth. Dirt in his mouth.
No, I'm just imagining he's like a dog with peanut butter in its mouth, and it's like...
He let out a rage-filled scream and began clawing at his skin. It wasn't the first time he had been falsely accused of something. He felt betrayed. Colt was supposed to be his best friend, but not throw him under the bus and accuse him of killing Jason and Winnie. Even though he hated Jason, he hadn't killed him. David threw himself against a tree and let the sobs overtake his body. He was sick of being stuck on this island. He was sick of everyone around him dying. He had no one anymore on this island and that he could trust. They all thought he was a murderer.
On the island. David.
David slunk against a tree and let himself rest. He just did that.
Dumbass.
He closed his eyes, exhausted from the long sprint into the forest. He couldn't sleep, but it felt nice to just sit there with his eyes closed. Before he knew it, night had fallen and no one had come for him to make sure he was alright. None of them gave a damn about him.
I'm pretty sure he's about to get fucking murdered, but I don't
That's
know.
what I'm thinking, but maybe not. I'll head back to the shore tomorrow morning and give those assholes a piece of my mind.
A piece of my mind.
David decided. He sat in silence for a few more hours until he heard the crunch of leaves in front of him. He opened his eyes, expecting to see a wolf, but instead he looked directly into the eyes of the killer. So it wasn't David. Before David could react, the killer swung the hatchet he was carrying. Okay, he just conveniently has a hatchet. Okay. The killer swung the hatchet he was carrying right into David's face. Blood spurted out of the wound and dripped down the blade. They would never know he was dead. Everyone else would just assume he had disappeared. The killer made sure to bury David's body so that it would never be discovered. Then he headed back to the camp. So it's not David.
It's not David. He just got hatcheted the fuck up.
Yeah, he just, chapter 34 is called The Hunter.
I feel like the reason I had the killer hide the body was so they would think it was David, because he had disappeared and wouldn't come back, but they don't know he's actually dead.
Yeah, right.
But we know he's dead.
Huxley was having trouble sleeping. He had something that he couldn't get off his mind. Back in middle school, Chase and Huxley used to go hunting in the woods behind Huxley's house.
Me trying to make more, false narratives. False.
So,
they went hunting one time. They're the killer.
They went hunting one time. They're the fucking murderer.
They're the filthy pig fucking murderer.
It was the one time they both felt like they could escape the outside world. They never got much of anything, but both boys enjoyed it nonetheless.
Ew.
Sounds like an episode of Brokeback Mountain.
Wait, what is that?
Do you know what Brokeback Mountain is?
No.
Okay, Brokeback Mountain is this gay movie about two cowboys basically going up in the mountains.
It's fucking?
Yeah. That's why it's called Brokeback Mountain.
Ew.
I'm sorry, I was sick. It was a
You're
loogie.
I had a booger in my mouth.
Yeah, it was a loogie. I'm sorry.
A loogie.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was gonna say
That's
was
gonna be fun to listen to back later.
In Brokeback Mountain, I'm gonna make you watch that. The fact that you haven't seen it is crazy. They basically never end up together, by the way.
Anyways.
But they go, I don't know, they're like cowboys. Yeah, anyway. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. I think he's the bottom. I can't remember. I think he's the bottom.
Yeah.
They both get married to women, I think, at the end, and then one of them dies.
Lame. Oh god.
I think. It's kind of weird. Anyway, we need to watch it. However, there was this one incident that stuck out in Huxley's mind, the crunching of leaves under the boys' boots. They held their guns, wary of absolutely any movement. They finally heard a sound, and Chase instantly shot in the direction of it. When both of them realized what it was, Huxley gasped. It was just a dog that now lay dead on the ground because of Chase's trigger happiness.
Trigger happiness? Sounds
What
really
the fuck,
dumb.
man? Huxley said. Chase stared at the dog, motionless.
What the
Suddenly,
fuck?
a smile began forming at the corner of his mouth, and then he started laughing maniacally. Huxley glared at Chase. What the hell is wrong with you, man? Huxley demanded. Chase quickly turned around and apologized. Sorry, it's the shock, he said. Huxley didn't believe him. It seemed like Chase thought it was funny to kill things. It's like he derived pleasure out of their misery. It made Huxley sick to his stomach. I like how Huxley was like, it was you, David, and then now he's like, maybe it was Chase.
Maybe it was Chase, and then Chase, before I get fucking murdered, and it's like, wait a fucking minute. Maybe it was me.
If
Also, it's so convenient that this is now coming up after David as the prime suspect is gone. And now he's like, okay, let me look back in my archives.
I still, for some reason, kind of thought it was Jonathan, and I still have that in the back of my mind, even though there's some stuff to be like, maybe.
Yeah.
If I did clock that, though, and guessed who it was, that'd be really funny.
That'd be really funny.
Anyway. Jonathan, Chase kind of, I don't think it's Huxley, but that's like a whole thing it could be.
He's like a really weird side character, because I know his name, but we don't know shit about him, really.
Yeah. Maria okay, this is called Chapter 35, Two Birds with One Stone. Maria woke to the sound of wrestling next to her. It was just Hollywood getting up to use the restroom.
To use the bathroom.
Yeah. Maria yawned and stretched, deciding that she would go with Hollywood to make sure nothing bad happened to her. Like you're both gonna fall off the cliff and get dead.
Get dead.
Hollywood turned around and jumped when she saw Maria. Maria, why are you following me? Hollywood asked to make sure nothing bad happens to you. We both know what happened to Winnie when she traveled by herself through here, she said. Maria wished they weren't even in the woods. David could be anywhere in these woods, and everyone was certain that he was the killer. Just do what you gotta do and let's get the hell out of here, Maria said. She'd dig in a hole to take a shit. The girls didn't even realize that he was approaching them. The killer held a rock in his hand, preparing to kill them. Maria's eyes opened wide as she stared behind Hollywood, directly into his eyes as he swung the rock into the back of Hollywood's head. A sickening crack sounded and echoed off the trees. Maria screamed in horror and began to run. But before she could get far, he pounced on her and slammed the rock into her temple. She groaned in agony. She looked up as the light shined into her eyes. It was Alejandro, her older brother.
Okay, so this is another thing of, like, she's dying, and, okay, so her brother died in a car crash.
Yes, I know. It says,
I'm
coming, big bro. I hate the way it's written like that.
I'm coming.
Big bro? Why? That sounds like so bad. Maria stammered with tears in her eyes, and then she went limp. The killer quickly ran back into the woods.
Oh, the killer is just like...
He had to make sure no one heard Maria's scream before he went back to the shore. He carefully tiptoed back to the shore. Luckily, no one heard Maria's scream. They were too deep in sleep to hear a thing. He slipped back in with the others and went to sleep like nothing was
I'm just
wrong.
imagining the killer has like a Roblox man face. And it's just quiet and doesn't say anything. And it's just like, and then it runs somewhere else on the island.
It's doing the Roblox run.
Mm-hmm. And it goes, and then Maria went, oof.
Chapter 36, Lovebirds. Jacob opened his eyes and looked over at Deirdre. She was still fast asleep. She had been recovering nicely over the last few days. They had gotten the news yesterday that they were free from the hospital when they went back to Painesboro because of how well they had recovered. Okay. How well they had recovered. However, they still had to go in for questioning about the entire ordeal with Jimmy Nichols and the crash ship.
Jimmy Nipples!
The last thing Jacob wanted to do was deal with interrogations. He was absolutely exhausted from the events of the last few days and just wanted to be left alone. Oh, okay.
I still can't get over Jimmy Nichols as a name.
Jacob decided to go back to sleep. Soon he went back home with Deirdre. He had grown incredibly close to her over the last few days. He longed to kiss her, but the moment had to be perfect. Their current predicament wasn't the most romantic situation to be in.
That was a boring-ass chapter.
Yeah. Chapter 37 is called Jonathan.
Ooh, we're about to get some fucking tea.
Kelsey screamed when she discovered the bodies. Maria and Hollywood laid sprawled out on the forest floor, dead. She quickly ran back to the camp, afraid that the killer would find her next. Maria and Hollywood are dead! She screamed. Everyone turned to stare at her. It's gotta be David, Jonathan said. That's kind of suspicious. Why the hell did you just say that immediately?
Why is he so fast about it?
He's still out there in those woods.
In those woods!
Later today, we're all going into those woods to find that piece of shit. That's what Jonathan said, by the way.
You need to have a country accent from every time he talks.
Fuck. Okay. Huxley said.
Wait, what?
It says Jonathan said, but then it says Huxley said.
Okay, so that was a different thing, and then it's Huxley.
Okay, so it's Huxley that said it, even though there's a question mark, or even though there's a period. Colt felt a twinge of guilt, actually. Even though David was an alleged killer, he still used to be Colt's friend. Jonathan comforted Kelsey as she cried into his shoulder. She was traumatized after seeing Maria and Hollywood dead. He was surprised that she hadn't gotten used to seeing the death already, considering so many people had died. That's
Who
really
the
weird for you to
fuck gets
think.
used to that?
Kelsey has a gentle soul, so stuff like that affected her really easily. It was hard for her to get used to that. Jonathan had always had to put on a tough act around his brothers growing up, or else they would beat him up and tease him.
Here's the trauma
This
dump.
caused Jonathan to be afraid to express and hide his emotions growing up. His brothers were also a part of a gang, so from a young age he had gotten used to the violence. There was one instance where his brothers had beaten someone practically to death because they didn't have their drug money. Jonathan had to hold back tears. If he showed any emotion, his brothers would beat him in the same way. His parents didn't give a fuck about him or his siblings, so they let his brothers beat the shit out of him.
Beat the shit out of him.
All they cared about was how to get their next fix. The moment Jonathan turned 18, he moved far away from those sons of bitches, who he didn't even consider his family. None of them tried to stop him either. You're so projecting in this, those son of a bitches. I don't give a fuck about it.
No, that's me projecting about, like, my classmates. Okay, yeah, I was projecting. Never mind.
I was like, I just said that. Throughout it all, he had Kelsey. She was the only thing he had to keep him going. Kelsey had her own issues, too. She never went into the specifics of them to Jonathan.
I don't like how...
But it was bad enough that she had to be hospitalized and put on medication and had to be watched. It's going to be okay, baby, he said to Kelsey, nurturing her against his chest. He had doubts that anyone was coming anytime soon, but he had to keep up that strong front for Kelsey.
So it's weird to me that he's like, Kelsey's the only thing keeping me going. Not Kelsey's the only person keeping me going. I'm like, why are you objectifying women, Jonathan?
You're probably projecting about the straight white men that went to your high school.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was.
Chapter 38 is called Gasoline. Everyone on the shore was exhausted. They were tired of waiting for help that never came. Shayna and Shannon attempted to alleviate the boredom by swimming in the ocean. Okay. It got harder to do that with all the death that had occurred on the island over the last 5 days. It was like there was a dark cloud looming over the island, threatening to suffocate everything on the island underneath it. Everyone headed into the woods at around noon. They didn't want to leave anyone behind just in case the killer came back and picked anyone else off. Shayna still hated the woods after that incident with the wolves, and they had ripped Sandra and Madison to shreds. Little did any of them know that the killer was still among them and that David was long dead. They would never find him because the killer had buried him in a place they'd never find him. It gave the killer a cover for the time being. It was moved to the suspicion onto someone who was already dead. The killer knew he had to act quickly. While looking in the forest, he came across a shack. Inside the shack was a red container of gasoline, a funnel, and a rope, apparently.
How fucking convenient.
I like that being our catch. How fucking convenient. The killer noted where it was so he could come back later that night to grab it. He had an idea. After a few hours, they decided to give up the search. He'll probably come back to camp soon, Chase said. Shayna doubted it, but she kept her mouth shut. She didn't have the energy to argue. On the way back to the shore, the killer stopped by the shack and grabbed the supplies. Hey guys, look what I found, the killer said. They all looked at him with glee. We can use that to start the fire. Great job, Colt said to him. When they got back, Jonathan and Huxley built a fire for everyone to keep warm around. The killer told them where to place it at. Right under a tree. He would wait for them to fall asleep, then he would take action and set his plan into motion. Okay, so Jonathan and Huxley built the fire, apparently, and the killer told them where to place it. The only other man that is not part of these people is Chase.
I was wondering if you're going to catch on to that. Interesting.
I said the only other person that's not part of that is Chase.
Interesting.
So, we're like, interesting. Because there's only 3 men left, right?
I think so.
Right?
It's really dwindling down. There's Colt and Chase.
Colt, Chase, Huxley, and Jonathan. So there's 4.
Yeah. Unless there's one that we've forgotten about.
Yeah, unless there's one that we're like, I don't fucking know.
I think the boring ones have already gotten killed off.
Probably. Shayna looked up at the others.
What's this
chapter 39 is called Memories. Shayna looked up at the others. The fire illuminated the dark circles under everyone's eyes due to the exhaustion and sleep deprivation. Let's go around and talk about the stuff we remember about high school.
Let's fucking not.
Colt proposed. Everyone liked the idea. Anything to help them get their minds off their current predicament. Remember the senior prank when we put tacks on Mr. Schwartz's chair? Kelsey asked, giggling. Everyone around the campfire erupted with laughter. Heading October, and everyone in the class was thinking about what to do for a senior prank. One day, in Trig, they decided to do a mini senior prank on their teacher, Miss Schwartz. She was a stuck-up bitch to every single student in the class.
She was a bitch.
She constantly gave pop quizzes and failed people for the stupidest reasons. She had given Shayna an F once just because she forgot to put her name on the Trig homework. So they decided to place the tacks in her chair. They had no idea that it would work. They thought that she would see them and not sit down. But that was not the case. She was in a hurry that day, and she sat right down on the sharp tacks. They were stuck to her ass, Huxley said, laughing hard. Shayna laughed until it brought tears to her eyes. It felt good to laugh like this. It had been so long. Remember when we all got snowed inside the school? Jonathan asked. Everyone groaned at the memory of it. They had been stuck inside the school during a weekend due to the heavy snow blocking all the doors. They had all slept in the cafeteria, and it had been Missy's idea to get everyone together in the library to play Sexy Truth or Dare. Everyone agreed and headed to the library when all the lights were out. Shayna cringed at the memory. Kurt had dared her to take off her bra. Kurt!
Kurt's been dead for a long time.
I was like, Kurt!
I forgot about his ass.
Anyway, had dared to take off her bra and she refused. It felt like Missy had insisted they play it. It's just they all stuck up the pocket. Just so all the stuck up popular people could take advantage of everyone else and make them uncomfortable. Remember when me and Shanna switched lives for a day? Shannon asked. Everyone nodded. They pretended to be each other for a day and nobody had noticed. They wore each other's clothes and attended each other's classes and everything. Shannon had made Shayna get a 65 on her history test because she didn't know any of the material, but the prank had made it all worth it. They continued to tell the stories of their senior year all throughout the night when Sandra's tampon fell.
What?
I'm sorry. It's a memory, but the way you wrote it was so funny. They continued to tell the stories of their senior year all throughout the night from when Chandra's tampon fell out in the middle of class. Her pussy just on the floor. Why
would I think that was a good thing to talk about?
Why did her pussy... Was she wearing a skirt? How the fucking easy is that? Her pussy just like... on the floor. She wasn't wearing underwear. She was wearing a skirt, maybe.
Remember when that bitch that got eaten by wolves, her fucking tampon fell out of her pussy?
Joanne, Missy, and McKenna and Maria had dressed up like the characters from Mean Girls. That's the funniest fucking one is the tampon. The others fucking suck. The tampon.
That just caught me so off guard. Remember when Sandra's tampon? I was like, what?
Missy was Regina, Georgia, Maria was Gretchen, and McKenna was Karen. Like, people don't fucking know who this fucking
Hollywood played Katie.
They shared stories until they had all fallen asleep, and then the killer snapped out of the trance he was in and knew it was time to act on his plan. The killer had tied up the can of gasoline with the rope he had found in the shed to the tree branch dangling above the fire. It was time. He was going to climb up the tree and cut the rope, sending the container of gas into the open flame, causing it to explode and killing everyone around the flame. He began his ascent up the tree, carefully climbing the branches, making sure not to wake up any of his peers. Once he had climbed up the tree, he carefully climbed onto the branch above the flame and pulled out his knife. Why the fuck is it just hanging up there? Anyway.
I don't know. I just wanted this to happen. I was like, I want someone to get blown up.
Once he climbed up the tree, he carefully climbed onto the branch above the flame and pulled out his knife. His plan would have gone perfectly if Sheena hadn't woken up at the exact moment, unable to sleep. She looked up directly into the killer's eyes. A look of confusion on her face. Then she saw the container of gasoline dangling precautiously over the fire. Before she could utter a sentence, he cut the rope, sending the container of gasoline into the open flame. So I think Shayna's gonna die. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I was like, maybe.
Okay, let's read this last chapter.
Okay, chapter 40 is called Up in Flames, because we do need to go back to the office.
We need to, should we, leave it at a cliffhanger, and then after class come back? Okay, we're gonna leave it at a cliffhanger,
can do that,
y'all. We're gonna leave it at a cliffhanger.
Okay, so
that was a lot.
So the person we're thinking it could be is maybe Chase.
Maybe Chase or Colt.
I don't think it's Colt, just because, there's just, so much about him being like, I think it's you! I mean, why the fuck would it be him? But,
yeah,
whatever, but
we will see you guys then. Bye.